Hello, everybody. Welcome to another practice video. On this video, we are going to practice with everything we've seen so far. I think so far we've seen three verbs. We've seen the verbs ser, estar, and the verb tener. And today we are going to work with those three verbs. Let's review very quickly how to conjugate those three verbs. We can begin with the verb ser. Yo soy. I think I can make it bigger. Yes. Yo soy. Tú eres. Él o ella o usted es. Nosotros somos. Vosotros sois. And finally, ellos or ellas o ustedes son. Then we have the verb tener, and it goes like this. Yo tengo, tú tienes, él tiene, nosotros tenemos, vosotros tenéis, and finally, ellos tienen. And the last verb that we saw, or the last verb that we've seen so far, it's the verb estar, and it goes like this. Yo estoy, tú estás, él o ella o usted está, nosotros estamos, vosotros estáis, and ellos están. So, we also saw the different uses of both verbs, well, those three verbs, but very quickly I'm going to remind you the different uses of all those verbs. For example, for the verb ser, we use it for many things. We use it for things like identifying. We use it for things like origin or nationality. We use it to talk about jobs or professions. We also use it to talk about time, also to talk about dates. We also use it to describe. And finally, we also use it to talk about events, where an event takes place. Then we have the verb tener, and we use it for a few things as well, such as age. Remember that we talk about the age in Spanish using the verb tener rather than the verb to be. We also use it to talk about possession. Like in English, I have this, I have that, I have a house, I have. We also use it to talk about duty or obligation using tener que immediately followed by another verb. and of course conjugating this tener, yo tengo que, and whatever you have to do. And finally, we also use it for a few expressions that we say using the verb tener, but in English they are said differently. They are said with the verb to be or with some other verbs, such as I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm jealous, I am afraid. All those things in Spanish are said with the verb tener. So we say things like I have hunger, I have fear, I have thirst. I know it sounds strange, that's how we do it. And finally, we have the verb estar, that is the last one that we have seen. And it also means estar, but we use it for different things. We use ser for some things and estar for some other things. For example, we use it to talk about locations. We also use it to talk about feelings, states, and finally, we also use it to talk about ongoing actions. Using this structure, estar plus ing, and the Spanish ing is ando o yendo. Ando for ER verbs and yendo for ER and IR verbs. Okay, after this quick review, let's practice a little bit. What I'm going to do is, in the first part of the video, I'll give you a few sentences to translate, and you'll have to translate them from English to Spanish. And probably in the second part of the video, I'd like you to practice your listening skills. So I will simply give you a sentence in Spanish, and you will have to try to tell me what I said in English. Okay, let's begin. For example, sentence number 1. I'm going to just give you random sentences using those 3 verbs. For example, this car is very expensive. This car is very expensive. We are describing the price of something, because descriptions, we always use the verb ser for descriptions. We would say something like este coche es muy, how do we say expensive in Spanish? We say caro. Este coche es muy caro. This car is very expensive. Sentence number 2. Maria is in the countryside. Maria is in the countryside now. We are talking about a location. We are talking about where Maria is at the moment. And for locations, we always use the verb estar. So we would say something like María está en el, how do we say countryside? We say campo. And now, ahora. María está en el campo ahora. Maria is in the countryside now. Number 3. Let's continue with Maria. Maria is sleeping at the moment. Maria is sleeping at the moment. Wow. This is one of those examples of an ongoing action. You are using the verb to be plus an ing. And in Spanish, that is always estar, immediately followed by ando if it is an AR verb, or yendo if it is an ER or IR. So we would say something like María, and now the verb estar, está. And what's the verb to sleep? The verb to sleep is the verb dormir. So we have to turn that dormir, that means to sleep, into a sleeping. So we will say dormiendo. This is a strange verb because when you turn this verb into an ing, this O becomes a U. So it would be durmiendo, but only because it's a strange verb. María está durmiendo. María is sleeping at the moment. How do we say at the moment? We say en este momento. So what we say basically is in this moment. That's how we say at the moment. So María está durmiendo en este momento. María is sleeping at the moment. More. Let's do another ongoing action. But now it's going to be I am reading a good book at the moment again. I'm reading a good book at the moment. So this is another ongoing action, to be plus ing, to be doing something. That is always estar plus ando or yendo. So what's the verb? Let's begin with the yo. Now the verb estar. Estoy. Now the verb to read is the verb leer. So how would you say reading? You just take off, remove the ER, and you add yendo, leyendo. Again, this verb is slightly strange because this I becomes a Y, but that doesn't affect the sound at all. Yo estoy leyendo, I'm reading a good book, un libro bueno at the moment. Do you remember how to say at the moment? En este momento. So yo estoy leyendo un libro bueno en este momento. Okay. Let's go for another one. Number 5. Typical one. How old are you? How old are you? You are talking about age. So age is always going to be the verb have. And we don't say how old are you. We say how many years do you have? How many years you have? So we say ¿cuántos años tienes tú? You can say that too or not. That's up to you. ¿Cuántos años tienes? O ¿cuántos años tienes tú? How old are you? Number 6. Let's change. Let's ask the same, but now about a different person. How old are your parents? How old are your parents? So again, ¿cuántos años? How many years? And now the verb tener, but you have to conjugate it for a they, because your parents is a they. Tienen your parents, tus padres. ¿Cuántos años tienen tus padres? How old are your parents? Number 7. Rebecca and Laura are my friends. Rebecca and Laura are my friends. Well, I'm identifying those two girls, those two ladies, as my friends. And the verb that we use to identify is always the verb ser. Well done. So we say Rebecca y Laura. I'm talking about they. They are. Son mis amigas. Rebecca y Laura son mis amigas. Number 8. A very common one. What time is it? And this is a phrase that you have to memorize because it's always the same. What time is it? ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? Time goes always with ser. So, ¿qué hora es? And you can reply. Let me give you a few times so you reply. For example, it's 20 past 8. How will you say that? Well, in Spanish we say son las, and then we say the time, 8, and because we are adding, y 20. Son las 8:20. More times, so you practice a little bit with the time. It's 9:45. 9:45. Again, son las 9. Well, it's not 9. It's 9:45. So son las 10. But we are talking about the time left to get to 10. So menos, and then a quarter. Cuarto. Son las 10 menos cuarto. It's 9:45. More times. It's 20 past 1. 20 past 1. So we are talking about 1. Remember that every time we talk about 1, it's not son las anymore. We say es la, and then una, always feminine, y 20. Es la 1:20. Vale, we will go back to the time later. Let me give you more sentences. For example, okay, this was sentence number 11. Let's go for number 12. For example, let me give you some of those expressions that we use with the verb have. Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Remember, we don't say to be hungry, we say to have hunger. And the expression in Spanish is tener hambre. And you need to conjugate tener. So we would ask tú, you can say that or not, it's up to you. ¿Tú tienes hambre? ¿Tú tienes hambre? "13. My wife is not happy today. I'm talking about feelings. What's the verb that we use for feelings? Or how you feel one day, how are you? We use the verb estar, right? So my wife, how do we say wife? Woman and wife is the same word in Spanish. So you can say mi mujer. If you were thinking about esposa, that's more formal, but you can also say that. Mi esposa. No, because it's a negative. Está feliz hoy. Mi esposa o mi mujer no está feliz hoy. More. 14. Vale. This table is a bit dirty. Okay. Let's begin. Esta mesa, this table, mesa is feminine, it's close, it's single. Esta mesa. What's the verb that we use to talk about state? Because the table is not always dirty. It's dirty because something happened. We use the verb estar, yes. So, esta mesa está a bit. We say un poco. And dirty, sucia. Esta mesa está un poco sucia. One more. 15. Let's practice to say have to do something. Remember, obligation, duty. We say that with the verb tener, que, más another verb that will go in the infinitive. You don't need to conjugate it. The only one you need to conjugate is this one that will need to be conjugated in the different forms, depending on who is speaking. Vale, so you have to drink less alcohol, for example. Not thinking of anybody. Tú, although you can omit that if you want. Tienes, that's the verb tener, conjugated for a you. Don't forget the que. When you say you have to do something, you always have to say that que after tener. Now, what's the verb to drink? Beber. No need to do anything with the verb. Use the original form of the verb. So, tú tienes que beber, you have to drink less. Remember this word from when we saw the comparatives? we say menos, and alcohol is alcohol. We spell it the same way. Alcohol. It's simply that we don't pronounce the H, so we say alcohol. Tú tienes que beber menos alcohol. One more. 16. We are very tired today. We are very tired today. We are talking about how we feel. And feelings are always with the verb estar. So we would say, nosotros estamos very. How do we say very before an adjective? Muy cansados, tired. Today, hoy. Nosotros estamos muy cansados hoy. You can omit this nosotros. No need to say that. Estamos muy cansados hoy. Okay. Let me give you now some sentences that I will say in Spanish. I'll give you some time and you try to work out what I said. For example, first sentence is going to be Laura está viajando por Argentina. I'll say that again. Laura está viajando por Argentina. Well, what I said is this. Laura está viajando por Argentina. And that means that Laura is traveling around Argentina. To be doing something. Laura está viajando por Argentina. Let me give you another sentence. Mi jefe es muy estricto. Mi jefe es muy estricto. Well, what I said is this. Mi jefe es muy estricto. And that means my boss is very strict. Strict. My boss is very strict. One more sentence. La piscina municipal es muy profunda. La piscina municipal es muy profunda. Well, what I said is this. La piscina municipal es muy profunda. And this means the municipal swimming pool is very deep. Profundo o profunda means deep. Okay, let's continue. Mi hermano tiene 31 años. Mi hermano tiene 31 años. What I said is mi hermano tiene 31 años. And that means my brother is, well, this is the verb to have. But you know that we use the verb to have for the age. So in English, that would be my brother is 31 years old. My brother is 31 years old. One more, last one, because I don't want the video to be very, very long. I'd like these videos to be like little pills of practice for you that you can watch quickly and review a little bit, and just to keep you on your toes. Vale, last one is going to be yo tengo que trabajar mañana. Yo tengo que trabajar mañana. What I said is yo tengo que trabajar mañana. And I'm using tener que plus another verb. That means to have to do something. So it means I have to work tomorrow, which is true. So with this last sentence, I finished this video. I hope you found it interesting, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye, guys.